But one of those mornings. Today's a busy day. Oh, wait, I forgot something. Hold on, I forgot something. How can I start or begin my live stream without? Hold on, one second. You gotta just. I just actually got home 2 seconds ago. I had to run out and do an errand last minute, and so I kind of that's why I did this stream at 10:15, and it seems to be if I had a time machine, I would have done it at 10:20. But whatever, we're all here. It's a morning. It's an amazing morning, and it is. This is what I said. I couldn't start a live stream without this. Today's the big day. Today is launch day, and my battery's going to be dying in a second. Today is launch day. This is a big day for myself and the team and everybody who's been working on this, and it is also Remembrance Day. And it's Remembrance Day as of 11 o'clock this morning, so I'm going to shut this down before 11 o'clock out of respect for our moment of silence. And we have to remember this is a day that doesn't get enough attention. And yes, my poppy fell off in the car. So at least I don't know where it is. I just had it yesterday. So yeah, good morning, everybody. And I hope it's a positive and amazing morning. And today is, in Canada, for those of you who are American or not part of the Commonwealth, today is Remembrance Day. That is I describe it as a heightened, emotive version of Memorial Day. That amongst the Commonwealth countries, it's very important. And I remember learning about Remembrance Day when I was in school, when we first started learning about it, kindergarten, grade 1, maybe, like a really young age. I went to a private school. I went to a Hebrew private school, and every year it was very important to pay respects to soldiers who had died, and we learned all the stories. We learned Flanders Fields, a very famous poem, at a very, very young age in my school, and I'm hoping that we're going to start to give this holiday a little bit more of, I don't want to call it a holiday, but this day of respect, we can give it more credence and give it the more respect that it deserves, because the past several years we've noticed that it hasn't. It's been just largely ignored by a lot of people. But I'm going to get into that in a second. And Beth says she ordered 2 copies of a fabulous new book to arrive on Tuesday. That's amazing, Beth. I really appreciate it. That's what platform did you use? And I'll explain that in a second. So, good morning, Megan. Phil Mission. I'm Nodi Productions. I think that's how you pronounce it. Francine, K9, Sonia. Good morning, all of you. I love you. Yeah, it is Veterans Day in the United States. So it's very similar to Veterans Day. I guess Memorial Day, Veterans Day. I know when I was down there, Memorial was the big. That might be very definite, depending on the state. But anyways, it's an important day. And that is why I wanted to release Honking for Freedom on Remembrance Day, because it really seems that there's a lot of people in the political class who forget and forgot during February the many people in our history, our fallen soldiers, people who sacrificed their lives, people who had no choice but to go to war and were sent to war on behalf of the government, and died at the age of 18 and 19 years old. Miriam says it's her birthday. Well, Miriam, happy birthday. There are good things on days like this today that are somber days, but just because we have a moment where we respect and remember our history and people in the past doesn't mean we also can't, appreciate what we have today and look at all the positives that we have, which is what I want to talk about today. And Lynn, good morning, Lynn. It's good to see you. And anyways, okay, so launch day. Today is when the whole book launch begins. And essentially, if you want to get the book, or if you know anybody who wants to buy the book, and Beth used Amazon here, for example, if you go to honkingforfreedom.com, then you'll see there's 4 platforms that we've put the book on. I think all 4 are up. 3 or 4 of them are up. We're going to have Amazon, Kobo, eBookit, and Etsy. So I was actually just looking at the Etsy landing page just to make sure everything is okay. And so we're going to, that's anybody you want who you want to convey the story of the Freedom Convoy. Say, hey, you want to read about it, forget the fake news, go to honkingforfreedom.com and get the book, get the ebook if they want, make it easier, and read it, because then you'll see what was going on and what was actually on the ground. And then the promo video that we put together, I think at some point today, Ellie is going to be putting it on the landing page, the honkingforfreedom.com. So people who will go there will also see just directly on the ground what was going on. Like, you use your eyes. And it's funny, when we were putting it together, the video, he did the entire layout. We reversed the order a little bit, but he chose the footage, Mike. And if you notice, there's almost no honking in the entire video. There's a reason for that, because during the convoy, there was almost no honking. So, and the other thing, the residential areas. No. It's downtown Ottawa. It's a commercial sector that has a few residential buildings. But downtown Ottawa is not a residential neighborhood. I'd hate to tell them. But anyways, that's just kind of my perspective, how I look at it. Regardless of our little differences, anybody who did the pre-order sign-in, you're going to get a link. If you haven't gotten it already, you'll be getting a link today where it's in your email. You'll just receive an email to whatever you signed up to. There'll be a link in there, and you'll be able to click on it and order the book. If everything goes perfectly, that's what's going to happen. Nothing ever goes perfectly. Launches always fall apart. I'm sure there's going to be mistakes, and that's why I'm going to be on the phone with my team back and forth all day today. So, yeah, it is what it is. And, yeah, Miriam, if I didn't say so, I mean, happy birthday. And I hope you have an awesome birthday. And you might want to tell somebody to buy you a little gift. So it is what it is. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And thank you to all the people who have been sending me messages once the links were up late last night. People were sending me messages saying, oh, I just ordered your book. Oh, it's coming by. Or Beth just said here on Locals that she's getting hers on Tuesday. And a bunch of people were clipping out their receipts that they ordered the book. And I can't tell you how amazing that felt to see that, okay, all this hard work, at least a few people are going to read the story and understand, the whole, from the beginning to the end. So the book starts, by the way, the first chapter is a little bit whatever, but the whole book tells the story from, and not just my perspective, because I wasn't in Alberta and Vancouver, BC, but it tells the story from the perspective of those people that were driving across the country all the way through until the Emergency Measures Act, and for those of you who are in the United States, Canada's equivalent of martial law, was implemented because a bunch of trucks were violating bylaws by parking in non-parking spaces and on the street. That's where we've come in Canada. But anyways, with all of that, with all the somber remembrance of people today, which is very, very important, we got to both be somber and remember the sacrifices people made, but at the same time appreciate what we have now and not take it for granted like a lot of people do. And I think that's a problem we need to address. So, and how do you do that? Well, look at all the good things we have. Look how good we have it. We don't have a draft. We don't have a world war we have to engage in. We don't have younger people that are going off and dying, within minutes of being deployed like it was during World War II. I should show you this. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to show you. So back here, this little Easter egg. I mentioned this on the stand during my testimony that, I was adopted and I grew up in a very, I hit the jackpot with my parents because my family is amazing. But I found later in life my biological siblings, which I didn't know even existed, found me, and one was a police officer, and we've become pretty close over the years, very close actually. And he actually gave me this book, this book, which this was going to be the year I was going to read it, and ironically is on my to-do list. And ironically, this was before the trucker convoy. I was going to start this on Remembrance Day this year, and who knew I would have a book coming out at the same time. But this book, which is reversed on these two devices but is normal on that one, Tug of War, this was written by Brigadier General Dennis Whitaker, who is my biological grandfather. So, which is why I wanted to make that statement for all the people who were trolling myself and Tamara during the convoy, one of whom is in jail right now, about my, because I'm Jewish and I'm, I don't know, part of some global conspiracy of Jews taking over the world. Like, yeah, so that's my biological grandfather, and I don't know, am I part of this now global conspiracy theory? Is that what's going on? I don't know. So I know the premise of this book and the battle that opened Antwerp, and so yeah, this is the year, and this is the day that I'm going to at least dive into the book. I don't know how much I'll get into it today, just because so much is going on with my book launch. And it's funny. So all of his books, he wrote them with what's it called? His my biological grandmother. They did all their books together, and then I do a book, and it's myself and John Goddard, a longtime friend of mine, and former investigative journalist and author. So, yeah, I don't know. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Yeah, there might be something to that, but or we're in a simulation, or something's going on. Who knows? But anyways, but back to Remembrance Day and how lucky we are. We can't take that for granted. This is why I get so upset with people who are always complaining and whining about how difficult their life is, or they're whining about racism, or they're whining about people said mean things to them. Like, guess what? That's life. That's life. Just sometimes some people suck. As I learned during the convoy, where the guy who's sitting in jail was spreading rumors about myself and Tamara, and trying to suck all the oxygen out of the momentum that we had. That's life. That's just how people are. So I think we all got to suck it up and appreciate how good our lives are, how fortunate we are. We're really lucky. We're living in the most peaceful time of our history, despite the idiots that are creating trying to create political turmoil in our system. I mean, it's I think the news, the fake news, obviously amplifies that. So we get this perception that the world is collapsing around us, and it's not. There's just a bunch of idiots saying stupid things, and a bunch of idiots in the fake news who are trying to amplify those people who are saying and doing stupid things. But most of us we're great, and we are very, very fortunate to live in the most privileged time of human history. And it doesn't matter where you are now. Like my friends I saw in Colombia over the past 2 decades have gone from poverty to middle class. Like we've almost wiped out poverty around the world. It's not perfect, but we're getting there. So many good things have gone on, and we can't remember these people who in previous generations, despite they may not have believed in or wanted to participate, they were given no choice, and they were sent off to die in many cases when they were teenagers. And I mean, that's happening in the volunteer army service. It's not perfect, but things are getting better. And we're really privileged to be living in the time that we're living in today, and we got to remember that. So that, I think that is, for me, that's the important thing with Remembrance Day. It's twofold. It's remember all the tragedy that happened in the past, but appreciate all the good that we have in the present and will have in the future. And I think if we have those two frames as we're looking at life and we're evaluating Remembrance Day, I think we're going to be a lot better off. And we'll all be better for it. And that'll help us maintain that positive frame and get out of all the negativity, of the noise around us that comes from media, influencers, whatever. Like, it's not important, right? Anyways, Dr. G, I'll be on and off this podcast helping Benjamin with book promotion. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, thank you for reaching out to me yesterday. And because it's not just my story, it's all of our stories. And it could have been War and Peace. It could have been very, very long. There's so many stories that we couldn't cover in the book, which is what Substack will be, BJdichter.substack.com. And over time, I'm going to release stuff on there related to what happened in Ottawa, just because so much of it is dense, and some of the things maybe that's happened since. But yeah, Karen, I can't wait to read it. I even have the perfect bottle of wine to enjoy it with. Okay, good. Great. That's awesome. And Scott, patriots come in all forms. Yes, they do. And just a little thing on this word patriotism that the radical left is trying to turn into yet another word that should not be spoken, patriots and patriotism. I think back to there's a YouTube vlogger who I've met before, and he's from Turkey, and he talks about some of the political challenges that have gone on in that part of the world, and they're going on in Turkey right now. And he brought up the very salient point that it didn't even occur to me, and I've checked with other people since, that when people talk about nationalism to him, and people lose their minds because we've been triggered. Oh, the radical left is trying to trigger us around the word nationalism. That nationalism means National Socialist Workers Party, ironically, on the left as well. And he said, no, nationalism is so important. That's what saved Turkey, because Ataturk had the idea that, irrespective of religious belief and the predominant religious belief in Turkey, the fact that they are going to remain Turkish and nationalists first. He said that was the hedge that prevented Turkey from going down the same path as countries like, Saudi Arabia, for example, or some other countries that have struggled with more, let's say, extreme interpretations. This is what he explained. It's not my words. But I think he's right in that nationalism is what allowed Turkey, until recently, with the now they got a clown that's really destroying all the good work of Ataturk. But it was nationalism that saved Turkey from, or allowed Turkey to remain a Western nation and progress. And that's very important, and that's why patriotism is not a bad thing. We all respect our countries, we respect our cultures, and patriotism is the form that we respect our country. That's why you saw so many Canadian flags en route to Ottawa across the country, because it's nothing but love, not only for the country but other fellow Canadians. That's what it was about. So, yeah, it's important. And, the last point I want to bring up, and this is kind of related to it, it's, I get targeted a lot by people in the political class, a lot. And I personally don't mind. I don't care. I think it's funny. I think most of these people are ridiculous because, it's the, Ben's not a team player in politics. And that's when you hear people say that, the translation is Ben's not corruptible because he's going to focus on the truth, which is what I did in Ottawa. And now, you know what they say, the truth goes around the world twice before, the lie goes around the world. Sorry, I'm very tired. The lie goes around the world twice before the truth puts its shoes on. And right now the truth is lacing up because you've seen a couple of interviews that are going around. I did an interview with Rebel News yesterday, by the way, which I thought was great. I just don't know where it is. I'm waiting for it to be posted. But with Sheila Gunn-Reid. And she promised me I'm going to just upload it as it is. There's not going to be any deceptive editing. And I said to her, I'm not terribly worried. We're all kind of in the same political family with some differences. But I'm not terribly worried, so we'll see. I hope I can take her at her word, and if she's not, I'll tell you. But I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be any problem, to be entirely honest. I did drop the hint about why wasn't my press conference, my interview with Tamara and with them ever released, and I don't think she knew. So I'm not going to get her. And I don't know. And I said I don't know if it was just production issues in Ottawa. It could have been, right? But although I did see some of the footage come out when Tamara was in jail the second time. So, but the reason I get this this attack and this smear from the political class is, and it's so much backstabbing and hiring automation bots to, oh yeah, Ben is this, Ben is whatever. A lot of the rumors that you saw. It's because I don't toe the party line, because I care about the truth. I don't care about manipulating people. And that's what our political class is engaged with. And the reason I just will not go along with lying and manipulating people is very simple. Because at a very young age, I was in school learning about things like this and about all these people who sacrificed their lives and didn't have a chance to have a full life, and people who died, less than half of my age now. And out of respect for that, I'm not going to I'm not going to support people who play footsies with massive and dangerous corruption and think, oh, well, we just got to get the message out, and that's really what matters. And it's like, no, stop. Just tell the truth. Just, you know what? The truth will indeed set us all free. Will it cost you an election here and there? Yeah, maybe. But overall, I think it's going to make all of us and all of us individually stronger. And that's why, when people ask me, oh, are you in politics and out of politics? There's a lot of, not really. Got a lot of friends still in there, like some of the good people. But for the most part, no, because they'll play footsies with people who are very dangerous, and they'll just lie to everybody in this effort to manipulate people. And listen, I was a candidate too. I went through a campaign. I know how it works, but I still would not lie the entire time. I just didn't. And anyways, and they're, oh, well, he didn't win. It's like I was in an NDP riding that they were going to win. They give it to the parties negotiate ridings, by the way. I don't know if you know this. The Conservatives and NDP, they negotiate ridings. So one is safe territory for NDP, one is safe territory for Conservatives, and they don't encroach. And I was the one guy who, I encroached because I thought it's important that people just have some sort of honest perspective of what's going on in the world. And when I went in, we were at, 4%. It was our polling, and we closed off at 10%. So I almost doubled our support when I ran. So, but anyways, who cares about politics? Like Viva Fry says, politics ruins everything, and he's 100%, and that's why no matter who you vote for, whatever party you vote for, I don't care what it is, we all have our different reasons. You have local representations. It's up to you. I will never attack you for whoever you vote for. And I just out of respect for you and out of respect for everybody. But I just hope that people stick to understanding that the reason we have Remembrance Day, there's many, many reasons. And one of them for me, the political framing for Remembrance Day, is to remind me and all of us that that's why we don't play games with people's lives, because that's what happens. Things can get very dangerous and dark and whatever. So, and also I think we acknowledge all of that, then it's very easy to also appreciate what we have and how good things are and how good things are getting. And the future is going to be amazing. You know, we talk about World War I and World War II. We're in World War III right now. It's the global culture war. But it's not a hot war. It's a culture war. It's a debate war. And that's good, because at least we've evolved to the point where it doesn't have to be a hot war directly. And we should all be appreciative of that. And yeah, and so I'm doing my best to speak the truth in the global culture war and tell everybody and show everybody what went on in Ottawa and how the government behaved. And it was absolutely, it was gross. It was really gross, illegally. And they're all, you know, everybody's tripping over themselves. There are people who are supposed to be on our side taking the stand and saying, oh yeah, the convoy needed to end. It's like, no, you needed to go away. Like, the protest didn't need to end. The politicians needed to talk to us, and why are you doing the work for the other side? That doesn't make any sense. And that's what I mean about people who play footsies and manipulate everybody else. Like, it's just, anyways, it's really gross. Carolyn says, congratulations. Today is your big launch day. Yes, I mean, it's going to be not just today. This will go on for the next couple of weeks at least. And there's a bunch of interviews that I'm going back and forth with people. We're trying to schedule different interviews. And so hopefully you won't get annoyed with seeing me too much. I'm still going to be doing my streams, I promise. Today I'm doing an interview with Mark Petroni at 1 o'clock. Yesterday was Rebel. There's a few others lined up already. They're starting to fill up my calendar, so I don't know what they are right offhand. Some small creators, some bigger creators. And I'm going to do my best to try to help as many of them as possible. So there you go. Lori says, these politicians are more worried about their party and the people than the people they are supposed to represent. Yeah, I think it's more than that. They're more worried about their job and the lobbyists that keep them in power. At least that's what I saw on the inside. And so many of them know, like, they're going against their own belief system, and it's so frustrating to have conversations with people to say, that's not what you believe. Yeah, I know, but this is this is politics. That's always the excuse. Well, this is how politics works. Like, no, that's how lies work. And they only care about the constituents when the ballot boxes come out. Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna give a rare plug, because I don't want to pollute politics so much here. But in Ottawa, we had every political party trying to meddle in some way, shape, or form in the protest, and with the exception of just one, and that's a newer party. And when Jim Carhalios came up to Ottawa, who ultimately became my lawyer, because we'd been friends for a couple of years, and I was pretty sure I could trust him. And then he comes, it was more than sure at that point. Then he comes to Ottawa. He donated he picked up a PA, because there's no PA speaker for the day. It was like a day behind. The next day the PA was come, so they had nothing. So he picked one up and brought it. That's when you see Ezra Levant on stage. That was Jim's PA system. And he's the one politician that came up. He was trying to see me. We were trying to get together, but it was just chaos all over the place. So I wasn't able to see him, because Tamara and I and the others were dealing with putting out so many fires constantly. And there's one guy who came up. He gave like a little speech, whatever his political speech was, because again, I don't want to get too into the weeds of politics. We tried to get together. He was there for a couple of days with his team. And then he said, I'm glad to be here, glad to support. I got to go back to Toronto, and I wish you guys all the luck. And that was it. That's what a politician who's not in power, who couldn't, meet with us and do something, that's how I expect them to behave. And I was very, very impressed with that. So, yeah. Kiss Junkie just popping in to yay, it's Remembrance Day and Honking for Freedom Day. That's awesome. You're the best. Don't worry, Kiss Junkie, I'm shutting down in a minute anyways because it's going to be 11 o'clock. Time for a moment of silence. Lori says Jim's party is New Blue Provincial Party. Is he New Blue? Yeah, that's him and Belinda started that party when his wife was the only one in the Conservative Party and Doug Ford's Conservative Party to vote against all his extended emergency powers. And Doug, doing an impression of Justin Trudeau, just fired her immediately, kicked her out of the party. Okay. So, but yeah, but I don't want, remember, I don't want to pollute this too much because when I hired him as a lawyer for all of my stuff, for the class action suit and because that's still ongoing, and my testimony, I hired him just because I know his skill sets as a lawyer. Or sorry, I shouldn't say that. I assumed it because after getting to know him for so long and knowing his background in engineering and his attention to detail, I had a hypothesis that he would be a very effective lawyer with extreme attention to detail. And that's exactly what he did. Oh, yeah, something that's coming up on my screen here you can't see from a message. Today, all my normie friends or extended family who know really nothing about this, which is part of the reason I wrote this book, so they can understand what went on. Everybody's starting to add me and send me messages, which tells me the fake news has written something about me or us or the convoy or whatever it is. And that's why I know what's great is, my normie friends, they're married, they have kids, they don't have time really to look at things in depth. That's why, legacy media is the only thing they'll see because it'll be on the background in the kitchen as they're cooking dinner. They'll see it for 5 minutes and then move on with their life, right? So those people are now sending me message saying, hey, I saw you're in Ottawa. What's your take? Sort of thing. It's like, well, you can watch the testimony. I'm like, oh, no, you can't. Because you have 4 kids who are all under the age of 10. So I get it, sort of thing. But anyways, so Remembrance Day, let's not only remember all the tragedy that's happened in the 20th century and prior, but let's also appreciate what all those sacrifices ended up giving us. And let's continue to be peaceful and loving to one another and treat each other with respect, because I think I've heard a bunch of you kind of reach back to me and say, you know what, you're right. Just being nice to, your average stranger that they encounter on a daily basis makes all the difference to them. A number of people have been telling me this, and it does, I promise, especially on a day like today. So I'm going to cut it there. Please let everybody know, www.honkingforfreedom.com. There's a Substack that's going to be going up later on today, BJdichter.substack.com. Very short and something that you can share with other people that will just kind of highlight a couple of things from the book. And the presser is going out. I got to talk to Mike. And let's make Remembrance Day this year about peace, love, freedom, and unity. And as Alyssa says, lest we forget. All right, I got to run. Have a great day.